Greece. Hi. Oh, I want to visit Greece so bad. I've never been. And as far as staying safe, I have been staying safe. Absolutely love Brazil. In some ways I feel safer here. Not gonna lie. Hello from Cancun. Hi. How is Mexico right now? I've heard some mixed reviews. Some friends there, some people feeling wonderful, some people kind of scared. How have I been? I've been absolutely phenomenal. I am loving Brazil. I am loving the weather. Not today. Today it's rainy, super rainy. Awful weather. You can get a job in Brazil with your US degree. I'm exploring options as far as degree transfer. It's kind of difficult because having a law degree, it doesn't just transfer like a lot of other degree programs. You would have to get it, I think, certified or go back to school. Obviously, like laws are different in every country, right? Even state to state in the United States. So you kind of have to take like exams and do other things to transfer programs like that. If my husband gets, I will go to. Yes, honestly, like I have a feeling that once we're adjusted to where we're going and where we settle, um, that this will be the best, worst thing that ever happened to us, like the catalyst of the best experience, the best adventure of our entire lives, you know? True. I wonder, honestly, if being an attorney in another country, if you're going to help with United States adjustment, if a US degree will kind of help in that regard. If I end up needing a degree from the country I worked in. I grabbed way too much hair. I don't know what I was thinking. Where in Brazil are you? Oh, you're engaged to a Brazilian. Love that. I'm also with a Brazilian. We are currently in Rio. He is from Rio. So once he came back to Brazil, we just decided to come right back to where he was from. So currently staying back and forth between his mom's and his dad's. His mom lives in Leblon and his dad lives in Tijuca. So we will be going back to Tijuca tonight. Absolutely love both. They are entirely different worlds. It's amazing to see how different a city is just like 15 minutes down the road, 30 minutes down the road. How are me and my husband? We are doing great. The adjustment is hard. We're currently trying to figure out what we're going to do for, finances and where we're going to settle permanently, just before we get the rest of our life kind of planned out. So kind of making some decisions, which can be stressful, I feel like, for anyone, but that's not really geographically different than any other couple. But we are doing good as far as like we are exploring a lot, spending so much time with family. Up until today, obviously, I don't know if you can see in the background, it is horrible weather here today. I'm sure there's flash flooding. It's heavy rain in South America today. So, but we have been exploring, spending a lot of time at the beach, just honestly, just being together, spending so much time together after being apart for so long, and focusing on rebuilding that time, the time that we missed. Because I don't know if people have been following our story for so long. We missed our first wedding anniversary, both of each other's birthdays, New Year's, Christmas, Thanksgiving. So we are kind of celebrating all those things at once and spending a lot of time together. What's the plan moving forward? Staying in Brazil forever? We actually don't know. We're kind of exploring our options, considering, the circumstances in which we left the United States. We're kind of like weighing our options. He also has Portuguese citizenship, so citizenship in the EU. So our options are kind of wide open. We are also considering going to Europe. Because we're just going to weigh our options as far as, we're at that age where do we want to have kids? Where do we want to raise our kids? What kind of school system? What kind of government system, and do we want to be this whole Shield of America shit? Do we want to be here when whatever that manifests into, So we're kind of like weighing our options, whether we're going to stay here, try our hand at Europe for a bit, really looking at all of our options there. Yes, so many options. Honestly, the world is our oyster since we haven't gotten jobs yet or like found a place to live or anything like that. Truly, we could go anywhere. I always like, even living in the United States and before I met my husband, I always look at like, your lease being up or something like that as the perfect place to start. You can go anywhere. If you're going to move down the road, you might as well move across the world. Honestly, it's the same in essence. It's just a little farther away and a little more planning, really. Is going back to the US on the table? It really depends. We are looking into the veterans exemption as far as getting him back in the States. Until things change, I don't really see us going back there. And truly, I have no idea what US politics are going to look like in the near future. But I would really like him to be able to at least travel back. My grandma is sick. Both my sisters are getting married soon. My brother, God willing, getting married soon if he finally proposes. So it would be nice to have him back, for, when my family members get sick, when we have funerals, weddings, birthdays, or just family vacations or just to visit. It would be nice to have him travel. But right now, I wouldn't take him anywhere near the US. I wouldn't risk that just because I do have a feeling it'll get worse before it gets better. Who's really to say? Maybe that's a pessimistic worldview, but you really never know. Americans who actually want to learn. Yes, I want to learn everything there is to know. It's been a rocky road to get here, and I fully admit that I haven't always been the most educated, but I'm always willing to learn. I always want to be educated. I think there's everything to know and no one knows everything, and I've been humbled this year with how much I don't know, and I think the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. So I love being educated, and I love when people take their time to educate me. Where in Brazil? We are in Rio right now, currently in Leblon, where his mom lives. We will be going to Tijuca later this evening, where his dad lives. We've been going back and forth, staying with family. Do you guys want to get back to the US? I think eventually, it will be nice to have the option. I have a feeling that when we plant roots, I'm going to realize that this was way better than, our circumstances in the US, and maybe never want to go back. Who's really to say? But it's definitely something worth considering. Oh, I'm so glad someone brought up the live. We have been having so much difficulty downloading the live because we didn't know. This is like our first time doing really anything social media wise. I've made silly TikToks in the past, but I've never gone live really until that time. I went live for one other protest, but I never tried to download it. Since we went live for 2.5 hours, I don't know if anyone really stuck with us the full time. We went live for 2.5 hours. I tried for probably 12 hours. Overnight, I left my phone trying to download the entire live, and it just was not happening. So I think we're going to do that live again and even tailor it to be more structured and informative. Like, it was pretty all over the place, I feel, and I feel like now we could do it better and give people more notice, or kind of hone in the questions, because we answered a lot of questions multiple times. So maybe make it a little more structured. I would love some insight for what people like actually want to know, what people like what questions people want answered, because we were kind of sporadic all over the place. It was his first time on social media, so it was, or first time like on live, on camera. So our football team faces Brazil tomorrow in the international playoffs in Brazil. I am going to my first flamenco game this week, Wednesday? I am so pumped. My husband is a huge flamenco fan, and his mom got me a shirt to go join in with the madness, because I have seen videos of people at flamenco games and I feel like it's just insanity compared to football back home. I feel like there's a lot less rules here as far as what you can bring into your stadium and what you can't, because the flags that people have at Brazilian football games are just ginormous and insane. Tomorrow we face you guys in a game at 2. I will have to look into that. What team are you? Is getting a visa for Brazil easy? Yes. Like while we were planning to come here, and just like, I know I'm going to be back home actually at the end of this week. I just got a tourist visa for the time being, and it was extremely easy. I don't know what visa you're talking about, just because we didn't really know what our plan was long term, or if we were gonna settle here or Europe, because my husband has citizenship in the EU, so I just came here on a tourist visa. I applied and got it back within 3 days, maybe. It was super simple, filled out something online, took pictures of my passport, and got it back dang near immediately. If you do get a tourist visa for Brazil, which is now required, we can't just come here with a passport if you're a United States citizen. You're supposed to have 2 printed copies brought to the airport. The email is not enough. I'm sure they have ways around that, because there's no way everyone reads the fine print to have printed copies. But you should have a couple copies printed off when you go to the airport. Do you have a plan now? Do you think you'll stay in Brazil long term? We are currently weighing our options. I kind of want to make a spreadsheet, because I am a control freak like that. As far as we are weighing our options as far as where we want to raise kids. You know, my husband has Brazilian citizenship and Portuguese citizenship, so we're weighing our options for a long term. Just where do we want to raise kids? What kind of government do we want to live in forever? You know, where is safe to raise kids? What are we looking for as far as what we can afford, neighborhood-wise, safety-wise, things like that. Love always wins, absolutely. It might take time, but truly, I think love will always prevail, regardless of what it looks like. And if you have that, you have truly everything. We have talked about moving to Portugal. I love Portugal. I think that's part of the reason we want to weigh our options. We both absolutely love Europe. You know, I had never been to South America before moving here. Before my husband was deported, I had never been to South America, never been to Brazil, but I have been to Europe many times. I am very fortunate to have studied abroad, taken a few trips with friends, through law school. On my summers, I always made sure to travel. So we are going to take a trip there just to kind of weigh our options, see what our options all are, what we like, what suits us as a couple. We've never really traveled as a couple because he couldn't leave the United States, so we'll be able to, you know, kind of see what makes sense for us. Stated it's so safe. Yes, Portugal is safe in comparison to a lot of other countries. Something to definitely consider when planting roots. Like I said, if we're gonna have kids anytime soon, I think safety is a huge part of moving. Ecuador. Do you like Ecuador? I've never been to Ecuador, but I want to go really bad. Practice law in Brazil or Portugal. I have honestly considered abandoning law entirely. I know that sounds absolutely crazy, considering I have put in so much work, but I think the time I was practicing law in the United States, it all seems kind of crooked. A lot of it. I worked in identity theft, privacy against larger corporations, but then I worked for larger corporations. I was an attorney for Target, Capital One, and Credit Corp, and some other like student loan companies, and having to sit there and demand money from single parents, people with medical issues, like, or just like regular schmegular people who can't afford their student loans, because I think the fine print tricks us all. And having to sit there with my full chest and demand money from people just like me who struggle to pay things back, I think the whole thing is kind of crooked. I know you can do a lot of good, but I think the things that lawyers aspire to do that can do a lot of good either don't pay well, or you have to work your way so far up the ladder and you can only help like one person at a time. Where I would really like to scale my talents of helping people to help many people at once, which is why I want to educate people as much as possible, do things like this, and really answer the questions that people need answered, because immigration, deportation, arrest, things like that, there's not enough information about it. So I would rather take my time to educate people. If you like football, we are the country for it. Really? I am just starting my football journey. It's funny because I played soccer, football in high school and absolutely loved it, but I never really watched it. So I am excited to start my journey. So I'll soon know which countries are good and which are not so good, or club teams or what have you. 25 teams? I did not know Ecuador had 25 teams. I wonder how many Brazil has. I know they have a lot, but freaking, it seems like a flamenco game is on every other day, so I would assume they have a lot. My fiance and I are moving down there eventually. We are preparing now. I absolutely love that you're preparing. I wish we had more time to prepare, or even like, I'm having issues right now being like, what have we forgotten to do or whatever. I know, like, after the absolute mess with the US immigration system, I have this deep-seated fear that I'm infringing some kind of like immigration law at all times. I feel like it's just a matter of time before I'm gonna be in some serious trouble. So I wish there was like some master checklist of all the things you need to do when moving countries. There probably is, and I just haven't stumbled upon it. If anyone has any idea, please let me know. I'm grateful for our situation. So sorry for what you went through. Thank you. It, like, I keep saying there will be a day when I talk about this so casually. Still an adjustment, but honestly, it might be one of the best things that ever happened to us. We might really love it and never want to come back. Who's to say? There's a Facebook group with a lot of foreigners in Brazil. Really? There's lawyers who post it a lot. I will have to go hunting for that, because I'm always like on the lookout for advice. There are some, not 292 football teams. Brazil, no way. I'm not shocked, because I feel like every time I go watch a football game, they're all wearing different jerseys. I never see the same team twice. But I will have to be on the lookout for that kind of like support group. Facebook, I've got to reactivate my Facebook. I feel like during our whole experience with my husband being deported, Facebook was a really dark place, including like I had family members who were just posting some of the most ignorant things, and I had to delete my Facebook, or I was going to lose respect for everyone I know. So I'll have to re-download it for that purpose, maybe even make like a spam Facebook, just for that purpose. What is the listing culture in Brazil? What do you mean by that, listing culture? I don't know if that's a stupid question. Yeah, but I will have to re-download Facebook, because I feel like moving to other countries, like there are a lot of people who info share. Like I've never had like Reddit or anything like that. My husband has it. We've kind of looked on there a little bit, but Facebook is the nastiest platform when it comes to anything political, and all my, not all, but a lot of my family was telling us we should do things the right way, and Facebook became a freaking battleground through our entire process. So I threw Facebook out the window. I wish I could honestly throw all Meta products out the window, but that's a story for another time. Kissing culture in Brazil. Oh my gosh. Okay, kissing culture. Kissing culture is huge here. It is not uncommon, and obviously this is all from, I have not been here a very long time, But something I probably notice more than Brazilians because they're so used to it, like everyone, the most random people will kiss me on the cheek when greeting, like just one or both sides, huge. And just like the public makeouts. Like I know when we were like 21 in the club, like it's so common to see people just like making out, but I'm talking like midday, like outside a shopping mall. Like there will be people just making out and everyone's just like, you know, not looking at them like they're crazy. Like they're just being intimate with each other. They're just, you know, enjoying the moment. But I think that plays into a larger question of just like I feel like this is a very non-judgmental place. People kind of mind their own business or they're happy for people. It's something that I'm just not as used to, and maybe that's like the region of the US that I'm from or where I've spent my time. But if people were publicly making out, typically that would have been a topic of conversation, and here they just seem to not bat an eye. But kissing culture is huge here. I mean, even men, sometimes when they greet, they'll, you know, yeah, even family, non-family, men, women and men, will kiss. It's definitely something to get used to, but I started doing it. I started kissing people on the cheek when greeting and saying goodbye, and it's so like it's actually so nice. It's such a like if you're comfortable with it. I know like some people would not be comfortable with it. I've always been comfortable with like friend intimacy. I'll hold my friends' hands and stuff like that. So it was just like an extra jump from that, but I think it's so sweet and intimate. I really want to go to Brazil. Come to Brazil. It is phenomenal. It like I don't have complaints about it other than you can't really have your phone out in certain areas or it will be stolen, or necklaces. That's the only thing, but if you're cognizant of that, I always just have my phone put away, and necklaces. Other than that, like haven't had any issues here. People are great. Weather is great. There's so much to do. It is fairly, not even fairly. It is, if you're coming from the US, it is so much cheaper here to do a lot of things. I just bought a bikini the other day for like $15. Really nicely made bikini. And yeah, just I could go on. The food is so phenomenal. What's the most surprising thing I learned about Brazil? Ooh, that's a really good question. I think I don't know if it's like a learning thing, but like something that really stuck out to me is like when you need help with something, it's not, oh, when are you free? It's like I'm on my way, or someone's already knocking on your door. Like I am so shocked that it's not like there's not a lot of planning. It's kind of like a when are you on your way type of place. And it's crazy to see it's not when are you free? Like are you free on Thursday for drinks? It's like what are you doing right now? And I think that's amazing because typically there's a lot less time to just sit and scroll and more like what's everyone doing tonight? And unlike the US, you have energy to go meet these people because you don't have work fatigue. It's very different. It's a different culture entirely. So if you count that as like learning something, the other thing I'm learning, I guess, is Portuguese, which is extremely hard if anyone has tips, because Duolingo has done me no favors. That would be great. Nice to know you guys are well. Yes, we are well. We are rebuilding. I think, like, unlike a lot of other issues that take time, I think a lot of our problems halted as soon as he was released, which is amazing. Like, it's unlike a lot of other things. It was there was a specific day when a lot of our issues were going to be solved. I heard you guys think you can move to Canada. It's true. It's very public information. My husband has a DUI, so we are actually not allowed in Canada, from what I understand. To travel, I think there are a lot of hoops you have to jump through. So as of right now, that's not necessarily like an option, but maybe someday. As like we would have to look into it more. I've never been to Canada, but I've heard and I've seen online that is absolutely stunning. Definitely a place I want to visit someday. The work culture is different here. If by here you mean Brazil, then absolutely. I've also seen the school culture is different. Why is his sister going to school at like 8 p.m. and sometimes she's home at like 2 p.m.? What exactly is the schedule? I'm not entirely sure. It's very different here. It's different parts of the day people are free, but that would be so nice because like when you work a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 5 in the United States, it's like, when am I supposed to go to the dentist if they're closed on the weekends? Because teachers in Brazil work in 2 different schools. I guess I don't know what you mean by that. It's expensive for those who live there, but $1, yes. $1 in the United States is kind of like $5 here. So if you look at the prices here and you divide by 5, that's typically like the currency exchange rate. Go ahead, ask your question, Queen. I went to school from 7 a.m. to noon, but that was years ago when you're Brazilian. 7 a.m. to noon is great. Like, that's only 5 hours. We went like 40 hours a week-ish. I don't know if that's like to line up with our parents' like work schedules and what kind of goes hand in hand with that, or why exactly 40 hours a week is what's required in the U.S. school system, because they kept me there for a really long time and I don't remember freaking learning anything. So how does the electric work there? I guess I don't know what you mean. I'll tell you the big differences here. Obviously the outlets are different. And I have like a voltage kind of adapter, because I think the frequency, or whatever you call it electric wise, which is crazy because I took physics, I can't remember what it's called, but some kind of like frequency adapter, but huge difference is the heat here means that you kind of like, or at least in my experience, you keep your doors closed, and if you see like the AC unit, you typically close the door and you use AC for the room you're in, because if you cooled your entire house the whole time, I feel like you would go broke very easily, because it's 85 degrees all the time here right now. Schools in Brazil sometimes have 3 turns, morning, afternoon, and night, to serve more students. Oh, I didn't know that was why. Yeah, it's been very interesting just watching, like, sometimes we would be, about to go do something, go to the beach or something, and his sister's in high school, would be home at like noon, and I'm like, we were always like, it was mandatory. We couldn't even have lunch off campus unless we got like parental permission. We couldn't leave school grounds. I'm getting ready. I don't know why. We were supposed to go with his family today to the botanical garden, but the heavy rain today was absolutely insane. So we were forced to stay home for now. I think we're going to get going here shortly. I still got to do my makeup, so I'm going to be chilling for a while. Sorry if you hear, this is not a vocal fry. Someone came at me for a vocal fry the other day. I am fixing that issue. That's after 5 years in California, but I actually recently got sick, so my voice is not great. How is work culture different? I have not started working here, so I'm not the best to answer that question. I wouldn't want to give anyone information that I don't know for sure. I just know that there are a lot more people here walking around during the daylight hours, so I would assume there's a little more work-life balance. And from what his parents have told me, I think that's absolutely true, and it appears that the work fatigue is less. What kind of jobs do you think you'll get out there? I don't know, honestly. Like, considering I kind of want to abandon being an attorney, I feel like the world is my oyster. I kind of feel like I have a second chance at life, a second chance to decide what I want to do or what path I see for myself. So, honestly, I don't know if I want to do something super simple so that it doesn't drain me and I can, like, something so mundane and just spend my time elsewhere, not being tired, and just like invest in the other parts of my life, or whether I want to do something that I find super fulfilling. I'm not really sure. I can see myself starting a nonprofit in the future. That's like the ultimate goal, but I feel like need to find something that will actually pay me first, before like investing in that a bunch. You can teach English. I have looked into that. I think I would really enjoy teaching English. When I was growing up, I actually, those tests that you take, to determine what you should do when you grow up, I always got a teacher. It was something that I was always entertaining the idea of, but never really explored, mostly because in the US they don't make nearly enough. We need to pay our teachers more, but they're underpaid and overworked in my country, in my opinion. And obviously, I'm not a teacher, so I might not be the best to make that analysis, but from what it looks like from the outside. You live in India. American too. I'm from Brazil. I live in India. Indiana. Oh my god, I thought you said India. I was like, oh, interesting. Indiana. American too. I'm from Brazil. What possessed you to move to Indiana? That's such a wild place. I feel like Brazilians, when they've been to the US or, are interested in relocating, they talk about New York, LA, Miami, and Chicago. Never heard of someone relocating to Indiana. But if you found maybe your significant other, how is your husband? My husband is doing great, all things considered. He is, I think, a lot better emotionally. Nightmares were a serious issue when he first got released. I think a lot of that is better now, and I don't think he would speak on it even if it was still a huge issue. But I think, like, as of right now, he's kind of distancing himself from it mentally. He says he's doing well, and we just take it day by day. I am covered in my own hair. Every time I brush my hair, I feel like I lose pounds of it, which is crazy because I still have a lot of it. You would think I'd be bald. Farmers and rednecks everywhere. If you're talking about Indiana, I totally agree. Farmers and rednecks absolutely everywhere. Most important thing is that you're there with him. I agree. Spending like 90 days apart from each other, like, is an absolutely wild amount of time to be away from someone that you're used to spending absolutely every day with. So just being together and knowing, like, no matter what, we've got each other. No matter what, we will find our way through this, and we'll figure out what works best for us. Is truly everything at the end of the day. Because trying to navigate the world alone, try to be okay with being the sole decider for everything was really stressful for me, because I just had to always trust that my own intuition was right. I had no help making any choices for the two of us. How is the transition going? Are you picking up some of the language? Yes, our transition is going great. Luckily, I have been learning Portuguese very slowly for the last couple years. Again, very slowly, but being immersed has helped me an insane amount. It's a very hard language to learn. Luckily, I have a background in Spanish. I have a minor in Spanish from college, and I studied Spanish for years and years and years. So that has helped a lot because the languages are really familiar or really similar. But Rio has such a particularly strong accent that changes those similarities entirely. So they add an extra layer of complication. Yes. Thank you for being happy for me. It is very hard. I don't know if anyone's ever learned Portuguese or tried, but it is not for the faint of heart. It is an extremely hard language. Um, but I am determined to be trilingual by 2027. That is probably my biggest goal of this year, other than becoming financially stable after all of what this past year had to offer. Apart from that goal, which I think everyone should have, it's being trilingual 2027: Spanish, English, Portuguese. So, my son in law recently got deported to Mexico. I'm so sorry. Left behind a wife and 4-year-old daughter. I could cry right now. I every time I hear someone's story that can relate to us, it actually like really makes me so sad because I now know exactly what that's like. So I'm so sorry. Um, I hope that there will be some level of reunification, whether your son-in-law can come back or whether the wife and 4-year-old daughter can um, head to Mexico to be together. I know Mexico's having their own issues right now, but I don't know what that will look like for you guys. But I will keep you in my thoughts and in my heart because that's terrible. Have a great day. You as well, Diego. They plan to go there soon. Oh, Shelly, I'm glad I saw that. They plan to go there soon. I'm glad. Families need to stay together. I have never thought that more. You know, it's funny because I've always been the long distance daughter, but now more than ever, I'm like, oh, I can't believe I willfully just ditched my whole family. It kind of feels odd that anyone would choose that. Now I think families need to be together more than ever. At least make those efforts to be, because now I'm in a situation where I have no choice but to be away from my family, and I can't believe that at one point it was voluntary. How is your life now in Brazil? Extraordinary. I feel like I'm discovering new things every day. I feel like there's a new adventure around every corner. I'm not even close to being done exploring, but we have done Sugarloaf. I've been to just about every beach. I got here during Carnival. I've gone to the favelas. Um, I've gone shopping. Shopping here is a completely different experience. Absolutely wonderful. Um, and yeah, I mean, the food, I can't get over how many places for food there are here. I feel like I've explored so much. I went to Christ the Redeemer. Today we're going to the Botanical Gardens, God willing, if the weather holds up. So, will they visit you in Brazil? If you're talking about my family, I really don't know. I don't come from the most wealthy family to just, and I'm one of 6 siblings. So, my family doesn't have the means to just pick up and go at any time that they desire. It has to be like something that they save for. So as of right now, it's something that we would think about. But then again, also both of my sisters get married this year, so that kind of drains a lot of people financially. And then my older brother has just welcomed his 3rd child, so everyone's kind of strapped for cash. So it might be a while before they're able to come visit, and we can't go visit them. So that's something to consider for anyone thinking about moving out of the country. Is not everyone has the liberty of doing that. But you can come back to the United whenever you want. Yes, I am able to come back to the United States whenever I want. I'm actually going this week because it is my baby sister's bachelorette party, and I am doing an immigration podcast. So I am going back to the United States. I will also be back in June for surgery. Um, so I can come back in essence whenever I want, but these were either planned ahead of time or mandatory expenses. Like in reality, we are probably still 20 grand in the hole after legal fees, so traveling back and forth is not fiscally wise for us. So I've got to be conscientious with finances, but in logistically, yeah, I can go back to the United States whenever I want. You'll love the botanical gardens. I'm so excited. Started when we just went to Petropolis. Are you talking about like 2 hours north of Rio? Because we just went for a gender reveal. Like my husband's like probably five other couples. We got this massive house and they had a huge, extravagant gender reveal. And Petropolis is one of the coolest cities I have ever been to. Absolutely extraordinarily beautiful, wonderful. I even looked at my husband and I was like, we could move here. It was extraordinary, absolutely phenomenal, beautiful. Can't get enough. Cannot get enough. I want to go back there already. Why did he not get citizenship? I think it's a common misconception. People who live in other countries, um, just marrying a U.S. citizen is not enough to get citizenship. You get married and then you apply for what's called an adjustment of status. And when you apply for an adjustment of status, that just means you're applying for a green card, which gives you permanent residency, which will allow you to like work and some other privileges. But it takes probably 3 to 5 years to go from marriage to actual citizenship, or longer, depending on different circumstances. It is a process, and the process comes with approval. It is not automatic. They evaluate your marriage, your like the legitimacy of your marriage, whether they actually think you got married for the right reasons. It's an intense process. It's not just granted the way it is in a lot of other countries, or to my understanding, a lot of other countries operate that way. In the US, it's not that way. You need permission from the government. Oh, no, that, Ari, um, that is a very common misconception. I actually grew up thinking that too, marriage equals green card. I thought if you married a United States citizen, you automatically were granted some sort of permanent residency. And unfortunately, that's not the case. Under a majority of other presidencies, administrations, it typically would be fairly guaranteed, I guess you could say. And under this administration, you kind of have to beg, unfortunately. It's like embarrassing for us, but it's kind of the way it is right now, I guess. And did they deport him at a hearing, or how did they deport him? Um, so my husband's deportation was actually completely. I've got to be really careful on how I say this because I've heard some people's lives are getting tampered with. So we opted for voluntary departure. We were granted voluntary departure by a judge, which the difference between voluntary departure and deportation are you opt to leave instead of letting the process carry out. So we at all times were able to stay and pursue his green card. However, we were like, you know what? There is a lack of clarity. There was no indication for how long that would take. It could take a few years, and he was going to have to pursue the green card from detainment. So he would be in jail for potentially a couple years while we pursued the green card. So we're like, you know what? We're just going to leave, because even if you get out, the US is really dangerous right now for someone of his color and accent. And it just, we were actually going to be moving back to Minneapolis, which just in every way, everything was telling us to leave. So we asked the court for voluntary departure, and it was granted by a judge, which typically means that you are able to get on a commercial flight, your average Delta, Spirit, United, you're a normal flight where you can take your luggage and leave. And after he was granted that, they actually, in the middle of the night, took him from San Diego, where he was supposed to be able to get a flight out, and transferred him to Louisiana and put him on a deportation flight. And that was not supposed to happen. So he was actually deported when he was not supposed to be. He was supposed to be able to leave on his own accord, and that was granted by the judge, but they deported him anyway. And I think that they do this under the guise of voluntary departure for numbers. I think they're able to kind of fudge the numbers of how many deportations they carry out, how many voluntary departures, and they say that they aren't deporting as many people as any other president because they technically on paper are voluntary departure, but they are deporting them. They're putting them on deportation flights. My husband was shackled the entire time. His wrists were attached to his waist and his waist attached to his feet, and they had to eat like that, everything like that. That is not voluntary, and it is not what the judge ordered. So he was deported against a court order, against any agreement, against what he had signed for. So that's kind of what happened. So thank you, Anna. You are so sweet. We did not file a habeas. We had three different lawyers over the course of our time when we filed for bond, and our bond was denied, or his bond, I should say. When his bond was denied, our next lawyer was like, hey, due to the circumstances of your case and your bond being denied, a habeas petition is probably going to be fruitless. It might not, be worth the money and the time, and it's probably going to be denied because a lot of them were getting denied, and they don't really have to provide under this administration. They aren't really providing a reason. They're not telling you why. They're just denying bond and habeas petitions. So it was probably, we were going to go even more financially in the hole. We were already $20,000 deep in legal fees. And she's like, look, I am, how do you say? She was like, I don't believe in taking advantage of immigrants. I know a lot of other attorneys would move forward with this because they get your money and things like that. But she's like, I don't think it's worth you guys filing that petition to stay because it's probably going to be denied. You're going to extend your time in detention and you're going to be even more financially in the hole. So instead, let me give you a flat rate to file for voluntary departure for you, and we will do that instead, and I will help you leave and maybe come back one day. Can he come back to the United States? No. Right now, maybe one day. I think given the circumstances, he is on a 10-year ban. After the voluntary departure, we are going to entertain our options for a veteran's exemption because I am a vet. I'm a disabled vet, and he is my primary caretaker. I don't really talk a lot about that on here, but I have had 3 back surgeries, and I have fractured both of my hips and my pelvis, and I deal with a lot of mobility issues and different things like that. He takes me to my appointments, does all that kind of stuff. So we are able to, I think we are entertaining the idea, don't quote me, but on getting him in on the primary caretaker role and having them look through the details of our case through that lens. But if that doesn't go through, I think we're banned for 10 years, or he's banned for 10 years. Hardship for that, he doesn't have to wait the 10-year ban. That's what we're thinking, is that if that gets approved, that it's not going to be the full 10 years. Does marrying a citizen make you want to? Not automatically. You have to go through a huge process. The United States makes it extremely difficult, extremely hard to accomplish. It takes years, and even after it takes years, they can still deny you. They can still say no, regardless of whether you're married to a citizen or not. Is it going to be hard for you to get your citizenship there? From what I understand, no. We haven't made efforts to do it yet, only because we are entertaining moving to Brazil forever or moving to Europe forever, because my husband also has citizenship in the EU. So we have to decide where we're going to be. But from my understanding, other countries do not make it nearly as difficult as the United States. Scam to the system. It sounds like a scam to the system. In my opinion, that's not doing it the legal way. What do you mean? Do you mean us or the government? 1 second. Are we leaving or I should wrap up? Okay. Sorry, I didn't know if we were headed to the botanical gardens or what our plan is exactly. Do we have kids? No, we do not have kids yet. If we did, I think they'd be adjusting just like us swimmingly. I think once we get settled, kids are on our radar, hopefully in the near future. It sucks because we were supposed to be moving back to Minneapolis, around the area of where I'm from, and starting a family, being closer to my family and having that support system. But now we kind of have to deal with, having kids without a support system in tow, and that's going to kind of put our plans for that a little backwards. We've got to figure out jobs and everything like that, finances first. It would be irresponsible for us to be this much in debt and bring kids into the whole mess. We've got to figure some stuff out first. Is it gonna hi, does he have family in Brazil? Yes, both of his parents are here. I'm currently at his mom's house, and we're going to be going to his dad's later this evening. Both of his parents are still here. His grandparents, we actually just had a family reunion. He has a lot of family here. He left his entire family to move to the US. Any European country I like the most. That's so difficult. There are some that I like, as far as to live, some that I love to travel to. I absolutely adore Switzerland and Iceland, two of my favorite countries I've ever been in. As far as living, I would say Spain or Portugal. Does any of his family speak English? Yes. I find it funny here in Brazil. Most people say, like, my English is not that good, and then they just whip out some fluent English. His family speaks very good English, but non-fluent. I am learning Portuguese. I think it would be easier for me to learn Portuguese for them so that they can all communicate with me. I think it is privileged of a lot of us to assume that other people should learn for us. Not that that's what you meant by your question. We can communicate, but I'm taking it upon myself to learn so that they can have an easier time communicating with me. I would love to move to Spain. Me too. I think Spain has a lot to offer the world, and right now I think them not wanting to get involved in a lot of the conflict that is rising makes it even more appealing. Has your husband shared the conditions in the detention center? What does that acronym stand for? Maybe I'm used to seeing it written out. Rio is my favorite city in the world. Same. Actually, it's probably my top 3 cities I've ever been to. Yeah, I love Rio. I love Barcelona. And I love Interlaken, Switzerland. I know that's a very niche, and Zermatt. Very niche, but Rio is like a different world entirely. It's the most accepting, most loving place ever, and being a woman in this city, I'm sure, has its complications, but as far as the confidence level of the women here, the way a woman shines here and is not afraid of her light, and so many people just comfortable in their bodies, Rio is just unmatched as far as being proud to be a woman. My husband has not shared the conditions. We've been very public about it on here as far as the conditions, which if anyone has questions, I'm more than willing to answer them. We have spoken about them on live, and I have talked about them in different videos I've done, but he hasn't really spoken much on them apart from the live, and hasn't informed any other agencies. If there are agencies that we should be talking to, please let me know. I want, and he wants, to do some contribution to reformative change. It's just difficult to know who to talk to. We want to educate the people firsthand that are going to have to deal with it or who need to be educated. But as far as institutions that can make some huge changes, please let us know. What's the other nationality of your husband? My husband is Brazilian, and he has Portuguese citizenship. I think it's really common to have both, or common enough where A lot of people I know have both. Did I arrive in Brazil before Carnival? I arrived in the middle of Carnival. My husband arrived a few days before me. I wanted him to have a few days ahead so that he could say hi to friends and family and stuff without having to translate for me when they were having those emotional greetings. But I arrived, literally stepped off a plane, went to Carnival my next day after an 18-hour travel day. It was insane. Carnival was insane, and I love that we were able to enjoy the second week of it. Oh, I've got to do this puzzle piece thing. Beautiful. So glad we're doing good. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know who's ever been to Carnival. Carnival blew me away. I want to come back for Carnival every year. We didn't get a chance to go to the parades, but I want to so bad. Question, but your marriage was real love for the right reasons, then why not give him a green card? Our I-130, so I don't know how many people are familiar with the adjustment of status process as far as becoming a legal resident in the United States or a citizen. They do what's an I-130 application, where you go to an interview, your green card interview, where they legitimize your marriage or like evaluate your marriage, and if they believe it was for the right reasons or whether you got married just for a green card. And our I-130 application, even though he was arrested at that interview, he was arrested at our green card interview, they still at the end of the interview approved our application, meaning they believed our marriage was legitimate. But that is not all it takes in the United States. You have your I-130 application, but then you have another like I-485 and like a few other forms that need to be approved and different timelines to meet, and the whole situation is really complicated. So just legitimizing your marriage or evaluating it for whether it was for the right reasons is not the only thing needed. Yes, you need to be married to a United States citizen. Yes, you need to have your marriage evaluated, but there are other things too that you have to get in line. And at the end of the day, it's to the discretion of the United States government whether or not they will ultimately approve you, but just having a legitimate marriage is not enough, and especially right now. People think it's so easy. Yes, people think it's extremely easy. I can't tell you how many times, including by my own family, I've been told to do things the right way. The right way is, I wish people did it, period. If you hate the DMV, if you hate the other things, the DOT, all of these agencies that you have to go to for one day and it's just a nightmare, it's like that, but for years. People who, the right way is the most annoying phrase now to hear. People think it's easy. It's not. Miss you too, Hannah. I can't wait to see you. I will see you next week, hopefully. I'm so excited. Yes, for those who are late joining, I am going back to the States on Thursday for my sister's bachelorette party, and I'm staying for 2 weeks, and I'm very, very excited. It'll be my first time back home since leaving the United States. There's a reason people don't do it the right way. It's not easy. Yes, even common misconception is that everyone who is in the United States unlawfully entered illegally. That is untrue. Most, and I mean it most, regardless of what you are being told, most people enter legally because it is hard to enter illegally. Most people enter legally and they overstay by some reason or another. Some of it is medical issues, some of it is financial, some of it, is document issues. Some of it is, think about it this way, you can put in for some sort of permanent residency, and the time that the government takes to process that is not up to you. They can take years, and all the while that is being evaluated depending on your circumstances. You can't leave while that is under submission. So think about it. You are at the mercy of the government because you give them these documents. You can't leave while they're being processed, but they take so long that your status overlaps or your status lapses while that's happening. What exactly are you supposed to do? what are your options? You don't have any. You're at the mercy of your own government, and your government is responsible for the fact that it lapses and they don't do their paperwork in time. Not to mention, think about everyone who was affected from government shutdowns or COVID or whatever, when all of a sudden everything slows down. Trump has cut a million of these programs in half. The people who are processing this paperwork, you're letting them go, so everyone's legal time to stay has, run out. But it's because you let go of all of the people running the information processing. So people who think that this is all, people's own doing, that's not true. When you're going through government shutdowns or have tragedies like COVID or things like that, it slows down this process immensely, and all the while they cannot leave the country or they will not be able to get back in. So people think the right way. It's annoying. A lot of it is the blame is put on the individual for not doing their paperwork in time. Most of the time that's not the case, because why wouldn't you want to be legal when that is ridiculous. But this administration is making it look as though all of these people are the keeper of their own circumstances, and most of the time that is not the case. Karmic cycle right now, I completely agree. I think the US is reaping what it sows. I have no idea, for the first time, zero idea, zero prediction for what's coming next, but I don't feel good about it at all. Even people here on DACA have to pay thousands of dollars every year to keep a lawyer and their paperwork. It has been made completely impossible to do a lot of things. What people, if you can imagine, just imagine people coming over on student visa, right? You come over on student visa, maybe to study for 4 years. You can't work, so you have to come over with the amount of money. How can you adjust for inflation, have the amount of money in your pocket that you need to study for 4 years? Rent increase, how do you account for that? You can't work, or that's illegal. You are not entitled to a lot of medical programs. You can't take out student loans. You're not entitled to those federal programs. How are you supposed to live for 4 years without being able to work, paying your student fees? Rent is going up. Inflation is happening. How can you account for how much money it's going to take to live in the United States for 4 years? And not to mention, my husband was there on student visa. He went and studied in San Francisco. So they have all the money that they need to study for however long their program is. But then one of their roommates stops paying rent. How do you account for that? They had to start working. And people are all over saying, oh, but you started working. Okay, so are you supposed to abandon your education? Is that your alternative? So many people who hate on people for doing things the wrong way or doing things that they're not supposed to do. What are your options? Get evicted and then have the eviction on your record, and then all of a sudden you have to leave the United States on that basis. Things are not so cut and dry. They don't, unfortunately, in the United States, they don't leave a lot of room for nuance, a lot of room for issues that everyday people deal with. If all of a sudden my roommate doesn't pay rent, I don't have to choose between my job and my school. It's just, and I can go take out a loan. They can't do that. I can get help from my parents. Theirs are living in another country most of the time with completely different currency. I mean, the United States to Brazil, the currency is 5-1. Whatever money people in other countries have to give to people in the United States who are struggling, it is not nearly as much as you might think it is. So it's extremely difficult. The right way, I'm so sick of hearing it, because it is nearly impossible. The system is stacked against you. So truth is, the longer an individual is in detention, the more money the jailhouse makes. I completely agree. I am trying to decide, actually, I would love some people's opinions on whether you believe in private detention centers or government ran. I can't tell at this point which one's worse. Privatized, they are money-making machines, and yes, taxpayer dollars are used to fund a lot of things, and that money is going to someone's pocket. But I don't know if I would want it government ran, considering this administration would probably lower the how do you say, like the standards of how people can be treated, or um, since they view a lot of lives as less than, I don't know what that would end up looking like. So I don't know right now where I stand on whether I think something should be privatized or whether they should be government ran, because both seem awful. But the fact that they're profiting on heads, and this should be made clear, my husband was granted voluntary departure in San Diego by a judge, and it took almost 30 days to allow him to leave the United States and get processed out. Like, all the while you're making money on my husband being there. He was granted voluntary departure. It should just be you're processing his paperwork to get released, and he's on a flight maybe 2-3 days later. They kept him for an additional 30 days, which just shows how much money they're making, because there's no other reason for that. I was in private one for 13 months, but honestly, the federal prison was much better. And someone else says private ran has no government oversight, so they do whatever they want to maximize profits. I agree. I don't think, I think, I wish there was a third option. I really wish there was a third option. I hate private because someone is making so much money off these people and they do maximize profits. But I just don't trust immigrant lives in the hands of my government right now. So right now, it just seems like every situation is shit. How do I like the food here? The food here is phenomenal. And something I find completely interesting, I can eat 2 meals here and still not be just weighed down with fatigue by the food. I can eat twice as much here with feeling way less tired and gluttonous. I wish they would be regulated by a third party. I couldn't agree more. When my husband was in detention, what is really unfortunate is they moved him to 4 different facilities, all with different requirements, all with different commissary and different ways to put money on detainees' phones. And it doesn't transfer from facility to facility because they are privatized. I wish they were all overseen by one large third party that didn't have any skin in the game. That was basically like an oversight committee that allows all of that money to continue to transfer, because your money in your commissary does not follow you, your money on your phone or whatever. And what's unfortunate is when my husband was moved from facility to facility, when my husband was moved from facility to facility, no one called me to tell me that he was being moved. No one called his parents, his wife, anyone to say that he was being moved from facility to facility. So I had to just check all over online, or hope that one of the other inmates called me, or that his 1 60-second phone call wherever he's going, he was able to rattle off enough information for me to put money on his phone. Otherwise, they don't have money to call out. Like, you need to put money on their phone for them to call you. And most of these facilities have like a 1 to 3 minute phone call for you to rattle off as much information: your new number you were assigned, the correctional facility you're in, all this kind of information, for them to put money on your account. They get one phone call, and in Louisiana, I think it was 20 seconds that they get to rattle off as much information as they can. And then it's up to whoever you talk to on the outside to put money on your account to be able to make phone calls. And I can't help but think, yes, my husband has me, and I will fight to put money on his account and whatever. What about the people who are in the United States on work visa? Do they have someone that cares about them equally to be able to put money on that account? Hopefully they have someone to advocate for them to make those efforts, because it is extremely difficult. There was one day in one of the facilities in Louisiana that I spent hours trying to put money on his phone and his commissary, and I had to make so many phone calls, call different third-party agencies, all to get a hold of one person who could help me put money on his phone. And that's how difficult it is. And some people that don't have significant others who will fight to do that. And I just wish there was some kind of agency that existed where you could just donate money, or maybe there is, and let me know, that you could donate money for all the people who don't have people to put money on their accounts. Otherwise, that's how people are getting lost in the system. They have no means to call out to different family members or different, anyone. What about the people with no one to call? I have an interview this week. I'm terrified. I ran my husband through the worst scenarios. Good luck at your interview. I heard, and my husband also heard, that things are going a lot better right now. I wish you guys the most luck. I don't know where your interview is. I would say, hopefully you have an attorney. If not, prepare a bond package, which is a lot of the information you need for your interview to begin with. But just prepare, and all you can do is just, go in with the best attitude, conduct the interview the best you can, and deal with it as it comes. And if all of a sudden things fall through the cracks, there are many, just seek them out. There are many free legal services in the areas of where these interviews are held. Seek out free legal help, even though it takes some time, if you can't afford a lawyer. Food is better anywhere outside the United States. Couldn't agree more. The U.S., we have allowed our food regulation systems to just plummet, and it's disgusting. Like, I cannot get over how much the food here, I feel like it revitalizes my body, fuels my body, and at home I just feel like it makes me tired. How am I feeling? I am feeling so much better. I could be brought to tears with how much our life has changed, but it honestly breaks my heart hearing now, getting to focus on other people's stories, that my husband is home safe, hearing the stories of other people and really trying to set people up with different resources, hearing other people's stories and how much worse they had it than us is taking a toll on my heart, just in a completely different way. So in one ways, I'm doing better than ever, and in other ways, I am beside myself with some of your stories. Am I taking Portuguese lessons? Not yet, but I want to. I need to get back with a tutor. I used to have a tutor. I need to get back in. I'm glad that watching has helped with your documentation and stuff. I hope to do more videos and things like that for preparing for detainment, the documents needed, or documents that will help you in different things we did to prepare, because I think it's absolutely important. Brazil might be the safest place in the world right now. I don't know if that's entirely true. Brazil has its issues. I think the issues of safety are just branded differently. I think I don't know of a single place in the world right now that's entirely safe, and that's a scary thought. Won't you miss the fast food? They've got Subway, they've got McDonald's, they've got Taco Bell. I've seen them all here. Actually, I saw a McDonald's the other day that had like a whole dessert McDonald's small store in the parking lot selling like ice cream cones and different desserts. Super cool to see fast food in different countries. Are we staying here or going somewhere else? I don't know. Where is my husband right now? He is in the living room, actually. He is here. He just, I think, when I do stuff like this, I want to give him some time to join as he wants, and not force him to be part of these conversations, because, having to open up about what he's been through, I think just will happen more and more through time. I've studied in the same school as Matthew in Rio. Oh, that's so cool. We wish you the best as well. We wish everyone the best. Studying at the same school. Was he a good student? I would love to know. He doesn't seem like, he's one of the most intelligent men I've ever met, and always educated on worldview, but I can't see him sitting through an entire class. He has ADD. Do I have plans for work? I am currently in a battle with myself right now. I am looking for work through the United States, just something online to like remote that I can work. Sorry, there's something in my eye. Something I can work on just as I formulate a bigger life plan. I don't know if I still want to be an attorney. Not in the same class. I don't know if I still want to be an attorney or if I want to explore different options for something that would be more fulfilling, because it just doesn't fulfill me anymore. But we will see. But I am looking for something just to get us by financially, transition, look for a place to live, not have to depend on his parents. So yes, am looking, not really very picky, just looking for something remote, but something that we can work anywhere in the world. Did his eyes get worse from going so long without his glasses? Yes, I think so. We are actually going to be setting up an eye appointment for him. He needs to get a different prescription. His glasses are no longer working for him. He went 3 months without his glasses, and now his glasses, using his glasses again, give him headaches. So yeah, it's really unfortunate. Hopefully he can get some new glasses, new prescription, and everything is better. I think he's just happy to be home, and happy to have glasses where at least he can focus a little more, read, look at his phone and read the smaller print. It's still a little blurry and he gets headaches. Were you reunited? Yes, we were, and we are very fortunate. We are together in Rio and back experiencing life together. So yes, we are very, very happy, very fortunate, and happy for all of the families who can say the same, and we are speaking out still for the families who cannot say the same. Are things cheaper there? Yes, the conversion rate is about 5 to 1, so for every $5 here, it's about $1 US. Yes, we were thrown into Brazil without planning, but I couldn't be more grateful that it was here we were forced to go, because you would not, now knowing what I know about Brazil, you wouldn't have to force me to come here. You really wouldn't. Absolutely love it. We do have to get going to the botanical gardens, but does anyone have any important questions that you need answered? I want to make sure if anyone needs to know anything, that I allow you the chance to ask before I leave. Yes, I am in Brazil. We are both in Brazil. If nobody has any important questions, I am going to sign off and go see if we can salvage the bad weather. Did you guys try to get him bonded out in the US? Yes, we did. A lot of bond in the United States was getting denied at various locations, ours being one of them. They started denying everyone's bond, and they started just outright denying it and not really giving any reasons, which was so unfortunate. See you tonight, Carrie. Yes, I will be going live with Crowdsource Carrie tonight at 11 p.m. in Brazil. That is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will be going live talking about immigration and different United States politics topics. So anyone who wants to join in later, so if anyone has questions that I didn't get to, bring them there. She's great. We have really good conversations. So hope to see you guys there and talk to you guys later.